All right, so you say to someone you're obedient and you go, nah, I can do whatever I like. And teenagers, they hate the word. But guess what? All those behaviors, as that paragraph that Natasha's going to read again, essentially saying, because it was already said earlier, all the behaviors are one. Because they're all coming from the one energy. They may look different in manifestation, in its outer physical form, but they're all one. But they're not just one behavior, they are a strict obedience to that energy. A very, very strict obedience to not step outside the line of anti-evolutionary, of anti-evolution. So that's why when you, and sorry, but I do have to go there. The moment you step up and become evolutionary, you are attacked by your best friends and even your own family. Why? Because you realize it's no longer, when you go into evolutionary energy, you realize the world's not human anymore. That's when you see spirits. That's when you see the fact that there's a spirit inside that human being saying, no, 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 that's not the human outplay. No, 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 no. That is exposing. That's reflecting. That's communicating something else. You're not playing ball here. We're playing chess. You're playing something else. Go back to playing chess or we'll cut you down. And at that moment, forget blood, surnames, family, history, best friends, trust, what you've been through together. Everything goes out the door. Have you not experienced this? Everything goes out the door because that spirit has been exposed as either not evolving at all or going into a level of comfort where they've hit that ceiling of evolution and they go, oh, you're passing that ceiling, please don't, as otherwise I won't be your friend anymore. It's just irrational when that occurs, believe it or not. Your best friends don't talk to you, they'll say things, your family, all of that, something happens and human consciousness goes out the door, and a lot of people get affected by that because, why? Because they forgot that it's about spirits returning to soul, and they invested in the human picture, and they get crushed when a loved one turns around and says, attacks them, when in fact it's just a spirit representing its own kind, individuality. There's only one family as far as the spiritual group is concerned, the impied of individuality. In other words, the God is the individuality for them. Thank you. Let's read on. Cynthia.
Now consider that it is very, very easy to identify pranic or astral energy in the human expression when it sees lies, corruption, war, aggression, supremacy, vilification, bullying, separation, as it is easy to see in any form of abuse, child, domestic or otherwise, in anything less than true divine love, in murder, in gambling, theft, anger, rage, and in deception, given upness and withdrawing, etc., etc.
However, and because these very obvious and self-revealing behaviours exist, the etheric spirit has also laced human life with all their appealing counters, behaviours that human life has been deceived to embrace as being all the good that we desire in place of the known evils we yearn to abolish.
And thus we end up seeking versions of generosity, love, relationship, spirituality, evolution, community service, care, the raising of children, healing, curing, medicine, education, and the meaning of human life itself, that all are created by the etheric spirit who, in the first place, created all that we know we suffer from and hence long to extinguish.
In other words, those desirable traits and/or the highest forms of good are all from the source of energy that will not truly produce them, and hence why they are A, not sustainable, and B, discovered in the end to be inconsistent, if not utterly false.
And therefore, there exists a grand dilemma. How do we reject all that we have come to know is good, best, and what we deserve, instead of any abuse or suffering, when most of the known and sought after desirable ideals or needs are the creations of the same source and or the same character or being that also gave us all the suffering, all the abuse, the complications, and all that we know is not what we want of life.
So a bit like seeking love from Adolf Hitler.
And therein is the grand dilemma, because the energetic fact is that there is no true love or true advance or evolution if the energy that is producing the preferred expression comes from the source that was already also generating the abuse, the cruelty and or the violent offence.
And this problem has been around for thousands of years, and it will not cease until we choose to embrace that part of our true form of evolution is to reawaken in full our ability to sense and read the quality of energy, an ability known as energetic awareness.
Just on that note, is it possible in the future when more and more people discover the quality of the soul, that you can leave a relationship that in a previous period ticked all the boxes of a perfect marriage? As in, no abuse, total commitment, loyalty, caring, good, so-called love, adoring, whatever it is, those energies, whatever we use those words, that were founded by the opposite of all of that. Is it possible that if you discover the actual light of the soul and the true love the soul is, that you will also feel the abuse at that level that once upon a time was the highest and most desired value on earth? I'll leave you to ponder on that.
Universal Medicine is an occult religious corporation that markets healing and well-being services. It has scores of websites generating masses of online material featuring wholesome images of joyful and love-filled customers. However, UM's beliefs and behaviours are controversial. Its leader, Serge Benhayon, admits himself that his teachings make him unpopular.
One of the greatest lies that we all carry is the fact that you can't remember your past lives, when in fact you can. So there's a demand to not want to remember. And what exactly don't you want to remember is the question, and that is a waste of life. You don't want to remember that you are the creator of everything. You want to be in the lie of, I am a victim of. My parents did this. My brother, my sister did this to me. My school teacher did this to me. That's why I'm this. Rather than admitting to the fact that you are in that situation because you needed the pattern exposed, because it's a pattern that you have chosen every lifetime, because it's guaranteed that it's going to delay your evolution. So these are the truths that I'm hated for. These are the truths the ageless wisdom is hated for.
Serge calls himself a world-renowned philosopher, but his theories rely on abstract concepts that resist reality testing. He talks in his own idiosyncratic language about energies, spirits, and supernatural beings. To accept his one unified truth, his followers have to take his word for it, that his interpretation of the metaphysical workings of the universe is true.
In other words, no one can just channel. There has to be an attraction or a magnetic pull. We call that a demand. So a person doesn't open their mouth and just lie. There has to be someone who's asking for the lie. Is that clear? Yeah. Okay. So if I say to you that it's beyond the fathomable, the level of lies that we've been lied to, then there has to be a mass demand for it. There are those who don't want they don't say that there's no such thing as reincarnation. But that's a lie. But it's needed. And it's needed because reincarnation is all about responsibility. And so if you want to conceal that you don't want that level of responsibility, it's much easier to tout as a truth that there's no such thing as reincarnation. And then the person comes along and says, there's no proof for reincarnation. Well, there is. Because there's astonishing memories and correlations that you cannot explain other than which can be explained by reincarnation, in addition to having access to past lives. We can't bear the sound of that. We've got to make it a lie. We've got to taint it. We've got to contaminate that. We've got to make it a poison. We've got to give ourselves an excuse to say we can't listen to that person because they're a pedophile, or this or that, or a murderer, or if we can't do that, let's get into that text and let's just nudge it enough so that the word that means this will not mean that, it will mean something else. And because we can't bear the reflection of truth, we live in a field of lies. That's another name for creation. We know that another name for creation is illusion. Illusion is creation. And so you realize that how can you have extraordinary lies, but also unfathomable and easy accessible truth, all in the one soup? Very simple. It's all energy. And your body moves in a way that allows one to be in your conscious presence, or you can move in a way where the other is in your conscious presence. But that's a bit big, and we'll get onto that when I start teaching about dynamic forces. But for now, what we've got to realize is there is a huge demand for lies.
Hi, I'm Esther. What we see in the footage is not a group of philosophers sitting around debating metaphysics. It's a community of believers reading and rereading their beliefs to each other.
We also gather from the insight that the soul, our soul, is indeed an outline we can see, if we were able to see it. For now, mankind cannot, though very, very few have, and even then it is not a full sight.
On this note, may it be said that most who claim to have seen discarnate beings are actually seeing spirits, and they can appear in many different forms, such as a soul lookalike, a demon, a monster, a zombie, a white or grey ghost, an alien type, or as Cleopatra, Jesus, Mary, or a relative or loved one you once knew.
Yes, a spirit when not in...
I just want to say something about that, if I may. The moment you leave your body, you look like a spirit. You don't look like the deceased. Only in that body do you look like the person everyone knows. The moment you leave, you don't look like that. And the spirit doesn't like that. But what it can do is create an image exactly like the disease and appear to you. But it's only a creation. It's not its true form. Just wanted to make that clear.
Yes, a spirit, when not in incarnation, can virtually appear as it wishes to create. It is all about images or pictures in the astral plane. This is the allure, the temptation, and/or, at the same time, the illusion and the imprisonment of the astral plane, also known as fourth dimensional consciousness.
So I'll give you a conundrum, a problem. Your most cherished person just passes over. A son, a daughter, child, teenager, or your father, your mother, your uncle, your brother, your sister. And they appear to you. I'm still alive, don't worry about it. I'm not really dead, etc. and I come along and I say, that wasn't them. There wouldn't be enough baseball bats that you could hang on to at that moment that you wouldn't use to bash me. But if that was the truth, that's what I would say. I wouldn't leave you in the imagery, because in that imagery, a lot of damage can be done by somebody impersonating, giving you an emotional attachment, and them draining your kidney energy. The world of fourth dimensional astral plane is all about images. The key is to energetically distinguish by not using your eyes, but your whole body to see them. And they don't like that.
A spirit has no nose, though in that known to us location they have a small crevice, which is not used to breathe, but take in all that is not astral. Hence it can be colloquially said that spirits have a muzzle for all that is truly divine, and or all or someone who is aligned to true evolution, and therefore they can easily repudiate, if but attack, those who offer them a reflection of the truth they too are equally from. A truth that does not flow in any form of individuality. It is said that a spirit can smell a son of God or a reclaimed and evolved human being from a mile away.
Fact. Have you ever been smelt? They can also feel the vibrational quality of initiation of that person. So they can see if you're a wannabe student who's trying, and so therefore you've got a little bit of light, or they can see if you're very dedicated and committed and have an enormous amount of reflection that can clear them and expose them. And so they can take in and measure you, the spirit can measure you, and then it will pass on that knowledge by way of odd behavior to the human being, who will play out either politely that they don't want to see you, or rudely that they don't want to see you. Either way, the command is given to the human being to play out the behavior of avoiding the connection, the meeting of that person. And that happens everywhere. You can be in a train, in a bus, you are being smelt all the time. Spirits are smelling all the time, but they're not. In other words, when a Son of God presents itself, individuality means nothing. They can feel the grace and power and authority that is the everything that the Son of God arrives on, or the light of the soul arrives in. And in that moment, their illusion is instantly exposed, and they don't like it. It's not that they don't like you, they don't like being exposed. So don't take it personal.
Furthermore, it can be shared that spirits have a mid-grey coloured thin body, long fingers. They are all equally 9 feet tall and have no feet. It is an old tip or skill that if you are seeing an image that is in a discarnate form, be it Moses, Jesus, Mary, a ghoul, a demon, or a loved one, if you look down towards their feet, chances are that they will either disappear or their real appearance will be revealed, alien looking as the images we have of that ilk.
So that's what you teach kids at night. If they're seeing ghosts and ghouls or nightmares or whatever, just teach them to look down at their feet, and they go. Simple.
A spirit's usual tactic is to engage and frighten or set you back, thus you lose some composure. They especially do this to kids at night, so as to make them withdraw from their innate ability to see energy and or see through those who interfere with human life.
I just wanted to add something else. Thank you, Lucianne. When I teach people to pass over, I could easily teach them to look at feet as they pass over so that they don't get stuck in the astral plane. Problem is, they can also create feet. Although when you look at them, they disappear, but as you get higher and higher on the astral plane, some of those images tend to stick, even though they're not there. So the greatest form of sight when you pass over is your entire body, which I teach.
The key is to look down at their feet, and this can be taught to our young who have such visitations. But note that this will not work as well if the child is resorting to the astral, so as to avoid their daily hurts, the hurt of the loveless reality at home and/or at school.
Serge and his followers often discuss how UAM's attitudes and behaviours come into conflict with those of non-subscribers.
And it's because we haven't been criticised. We've been attacked based on lies. No one has actually said, you guys are no good because blah, 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 and actually told the truth. Nobody said, you guys are not the healthy outfit you think you are because blah, 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 and it's the truth. Nobody says, if you do that, it doesn't work.
Like I often clamour to be criticised. I want someone to come to me and challenge me, and it never happens. I'm serious. Like, I went into Esther's lair to try and challenge her, and I held back a little bit. But the thing is that if you claim something and you walk with that, is that quite often you'll find that people retreat. And I found that with my family, that in the beginning there was a contraction in me in the early years, and it got played on, especially through what I was challenging with family values and what true family was. When I finally claimed that and I stood in that in full, and I walked back to my family, I didn't get peep out of them. They avoided even talking to me. It was like I wasn't there. So their criticism was veiled in the sense that they avoided going there at all. And so quite often I found what happened is when you do claim, say, that you are deeply religious, that you don't get directly attacked. And then what's annoying is that nobody actually even wants to converse with you on the subject because they can fear what's coming back. And something, if you notice, a skeptic never tells you what he stands up for. He actually never tells you what his belief is. He never actually gives you evidence to support his side of the case. The first thing he does is he ridicules you, so he undermines the platform on which you stand. Then he shortens what you said in the short little snippets that he can pull out of context and then attack from the side. So you can.
What's remarkable in their discussions is the absence of any expression of doubt. But have they paid too high a price for taking Serge's word for it?
What I've been criticised for by my family is that I've become very judgmental. And I've found that really destabilised me, because I don't want to see myself as judgmental. So it showed me there was an opening there. It showed me there was a lot I needed to learn in relation to my family about being more accepting. But I think the other aspect of it is because I was just not holding back, basically just naming what I could see, it felt like a criticism to them because they didn't want to look at the truth of how they're living and the choices they've made. So I can feel like I'm taking both sides in this argument around myself, because it hurt me quite a lot at the time, because I don't want to become sort of narrow-minded, but at the same time I want to be able to claim what I know is true and just hold that.
Yeah, I just felt to add to it as well. No criticism at all. It's all been absolute lies and attack. But what's come at me has come with a force of energy that is like the harshest criticism you can imagine. And it's that package. Like, if there's been any openings in me, like feeling that force of criticism and how strong it can come, like, and just as brief example, like my father, for example, has completely written me out of his life. I'm out of the will, I'm not allowed on their property, like, you know, it's come really close to home. But it's just, if there's been any opening in me whatsoever that's felt like I've done something wrong or I've needed to be accepted or anything like that's the opening. And I'm similar to Heidi, you know, one thing that came to me from my mother at one point was, you don't smile as much as you used to do. And I smile a lot, people know me. But, you know, you don't smile as much as you used to. And I just straight away, and this was while we were walking in a park and there was crows everywhere and I was just waiting for the lines to come out of her mouth, quite frankly. But you know, she said, you don't smile as much. And I said, but maybe I used to try and lift everyone up, Mum. And she just went, boom. You know, she got it. But that's what I just felt to share. It's just, it comes veiled as criticism, but you just got to read it.
But it's not criticism.
It's not.
It's actually lies.
And that's what I'm saying. It's not one iota of criticism. It's lies and it's self-protection. It's like, don't reflect that to me. Don't you dare.
I'm looking forward to being criticised. I can't wait.
Yeah, cool.